Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, I love your sweater.
Thank you. It's my favorite sweater that I stole from my friend.
Awesome. The best sweaters are stolen sweaters.
I like your sweater.
Thank
It looks
you.
good.
It's
I
also
feel
my
like it's
favorite
your
sweater.
signature sweater.
I know, I wear this in everything, and then my Instagram is just me in the sweater, but it's okay.
I do, yeah. I have I saw that I have like only three sweaters, but I think it looks like from the internet that I only have three sweaters.
I know I have a whole arsenal, but I just wear only like three of them.
I think that's good.
All right, well, thank you so much for agreeing to participate in this interview. So, to begin, if you could begin by just telling a little bit about yourself and how you would characterize your work. Do you consider yourself a poet? Do you consider yourself an artist? Just some background info.
Yeah, I guess. So my name's Joshua Byron, for the
Mm-hmm.
record, for whoever needs it. I would consider myself a storyteller primarily. I definitely
Mm-hmm.
would use the word artist as well. I guess I work primarily in video, but I've also done a lot of other kinds of writing. I had a relationship column. I did vlogs at one point, and I have done essay writing a lot. I think essay writing is primarily what people may currently know me from, besides my web series, Cosmopolitan. But I do narrative work. Would be something that I would say, and that may look in different ways, but there's usually some sort of story component to what I do.
Awesome. Do you have any little excerpts of your work you'd be willing to read? Anything you feel like represents you?
Sure. Um, yeah, I can do that. I just released a zine,
Mm-hmm.
and I could read a piece from one of the essays or something if that works.
I would love that, yeah.
Okay, let me go grab it. This is an essay called Too Much Time, and it is so that's kind of like the last essay in the zine, sort of about a lot of, like a culmination of different things about time. This year, I was told I reminded someone of Robin. There's a freedom to believing there's more to life than life, that things are as they are, that the present moment is all that you have, that it is in front of you, rigid and real, unbroken, undaunting. But even memories of contentment become glaring. A childhood library now gone, now full of homophobes. A childhood friend who won't admit to their queer crush of you and wanting to go back to their house on a hill in Minnesota. A Robin song, looking in a diner and knowing it's not Tom's diner. There does seem at times to be a Murakami world just waiting to be tasted, or the allure of film, but even those worlds end. We split the worlds we inhabit into separate identities. We are more than this one person. With X, I am strong. With Y, I am weak. With Q, I am weird. With L, I am normal. ASMR seems to be the opposite to longing. Your needs are met. Someone is attentive. Your body is engaged. A haptic encounter with the screen. Your ear as a window. Your ear as a voyage, as an odyssey. When time is compressed, longing may be placated or at least morphed into melancholy. We see this with GIFs, repeated peace, as in the GIFs that accompany the popular series of lo-fi hip-hop beats to Study 2 series. These GIFs set into motion a domesticity of peacefulness. However, they accomplish this by flattening time. For instance, the domestic and cute kawaii scenes of Sailor Moon cannot constitute the whole series, for time as a medium is about movement, and time is essentially sorrow. Time is longing and needs met, but a GIF can flatten this to a simmer, to an aesthetic. Time is not an aesthetic. Some shows like Aria, the animation, or ASMR videos may try and capture the tranquility, but there's usually conflict of some sort and certainly an end. A GIF does not have to end. Endings ultimately are unadorned sorrow. When one finishes My Neighbor Totoro, one feels ebullient at first and then sad. Aesthetics are easier on the heart. The aphorism, considered softly, is a hymnal. Considered otherwise, is a weak tool of anti-contextualism, of populism in the numbing sense, not the ideal sense of what is popular for a reason, but in the way that some things that are popular as they oppress. Come up for air, for words. What is Miles Davis's kind of blue, if not a swarm of bees pressing on your body? A stretch of buildings with the promise of 1 p.m. and fresh clothes. Of meeting a lover that night. Of a Laurie Moore story, of a man around the corner. Of an ill-fated man around the corner. I develop a domestic routine, pushing things around in the kitchen, listening to Kim Kashkashian, a classical violinist with a mournful but deeply moving sound. I make coffee, I write, I eat overnight oats, and I read. And then I go out into the world again, into the other time zone of being in public.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, is Sincere Hate out yet?
The zine is out.
Awesome,
yes.
Yeah.
There's 3 more copies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll see.
Awesome. Now, as you've kind of gone through your life as a storyteller, has the internet influenced how you see yourself in terms of your work? In terms of...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like the whole of the internet as a holistic term.
I did this one interview with Ali Glimbaki, who has this series of interviewing writers about, like trans writers about their work, how they feel about the internet oftentimes.
Yeah.
And I think it said something like, the internet isn't bad, it's just a reflection of capitalism, and then I think that it definitely like can bring out some of our worst selves sometimes. So I think sometimes I may come across as like a Luddite or like a anti-internet person, but I don't think that I fully am. I just think I can understand that internet is sort of a very... I feel like sometimes the internet feels like a battleground in some ways, and just like how obsessed it is with numbers and how like it can oftentimes feel very like a stressful place. So I think in some ways it's influenced me in the way that I try and make work that can engage with the internet, but also maybe is critical of the internet. I think, but I mean, I at one point tried to do vlogs, but just like more like silly, poetic kind of vlogs, not really like, hi, I'm Troy Sivan, here's my, what I ate today. Not that there's anything wrong with those kinds of vlogs, but I just don't think, I couldn't do that. So then I did like a web series that's more narrative, and I think that's why I feel the most comfortable. So I think in some ways I have tried on different forms in the internet, and I think I've definitely used Instagram and Twitter as like a vehicle to send out my work. But I also could never be one of those people who I think fully embraces the internet as a medium, like Molly Soda or something like that. I think that that's amazing work, but the internet stresses me out, I think.
Definitely. So I guess you used the term battleground, which I'm really interested in. Do you see yourself as like working to change the internet, or do you think it's kind of run away too far and we can't really influence it anymore?
I don't know. That's interesting. I guess I would say so much of my past year has been focused on like disconnecting. Like I don't have Facebook anymore, and I think that I use Instagram more sparingly than I used to. And I think, with like the continued rise of the alt-right, not that it ever went away, but just like with its continued fury, I think that there's a lot of like doxing is a big thing. That I've had friends who've gotten doxed, and I think that's really scary.
Yeah.
And of course, like trolling can sometimes get out of hand, and like I mean, Alok, who I really admire, is somebody who talks a lot about how violent the internet can be. But I think it's important too not to be like shamed off the internet. Like that's another thing that I think Alok and a lot of other people talk about is like it's not that you leave the internet, but you do have to find new ways to engage with the internet. And I think I understand why people don't read the comments. You know, like it's just like one of those things now where it's like, like you can't, even when you're on a smaller scale of being an artist, you can't fully engage with strangers on the internet in a way that maybe it felt like you could early on in the internet's time, just because it's I think the internet mirrors real life. I think it allows people to be who they want to be in real life, and sometimes those are good things and sometimes those are bad things, and sometimes you can meet a lot of really cool trans people on the internet, and sometimes you can meet a lot of really awful people on Twitter or wherever.
Absolutely. All right, well, moving more towards your work in particular, I'm super interested. I love Idol Cosmopolitan, and I love the way that it intersects kind of identity and storytelling with this kind of web series format. So I'm interested, what attracted you to the web series format?
Mhm. I think, yeah, so I did that web series right when I graduated college, and I filmed it in spring of 2017, and then I released it in the fall of 2017. I love that cut.
Oh, thank you.
And, it was kind of like my last big piece of what I would consider like my early work or something, just like sort of like, okay, like, I want to like culminate the things that I've been thinking about throughout college, and like how do I say some of the things that I've been thinking about. So I think I was partly thinking through episodic storytelling, which is something that I think that I had gotten more and more interested in throughout college. I think like I've always wanted to do like a 20-something TV show. That's just like I think one of the big things that I would love to do. And I don't think that Cosmopolitan is that. It's definitely not about like, oh, like 20-somethings in a place. It's definitely much more weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was also thinking about how do you incorporate spirituality? How do you incorporate vignettes? I think like vignettes is like a sort of like ellipses is something that I'm interested in terms of storytelling. It's something that I think David Lynch does. It's something I think Roland Barthes talks about. I think it's something that I don't know. There's lots of people who do it, I think. And I think that it's an interesting way to tell stories, and I think it's also like a way that is somewhat related to the internet, and it is sort of somewhat related to like having shorter attention spans, and that's definitely something that I was thinking about when I made it, was something that is accessible, but also weird. I think like in some ways, like it does the things you expect it to do as a web series, and in some ways it definitely doesn't. And there's sort of a storyline, and there's sort of not. So I think that those were some of the things that I was thinking about going into it. And it was also, I was writing it and thinking about it right before the David Lynch show. The David Lynch Twin Peaks Reunion came out. So I was also thinking about ghosts and returns and spirit world kind of ideas. And what that would look like in a queer sense. Like, what is the queer version of those things?
That's so interesting. Yeah, one of the things that I love about Idol Cosmopolitan is its weirdness and it's kind of the way it plays with the web series medium. And one thing I'm interested in looking at is the actual production of art on the internet and how YouTube kind of allows us to really post anything that we want to. So I guess what was the actual production of Idol Cosmopolitan like? What kind of mediums did you use? Did you have a professional camera and editing software? Kind of like what tools did you use to create it?
Yeah, that was such a good and important question in DIY production.
Yeah.
I did a lot of it myself. So I wrote it in, I think I used Final Draft, but I had a student version of Final Draft, which is just like a simple script writing software. I guess like something that like quote unquote very fancy people use. But I had like the student version is the same, it's just cheaper. And it was about to expire. So that was, so in like the very like in beginning stages, that's something that I did. And then I storyboarded it out in like a sketchbook or whatever. And then I think in terms of people, it was a lot of people that I had already worked with. I think almost everybody in that was somebody that I had worked with either on a video project or on, another art project during college. And really sort of a way to be like, oh, like, let's get the band back together one more time. And it was really great to work with a lot of those people who I had, like Annie McGann, who plays the blue thing, is somebody that I made my first movie with in high school. So that was like really cool to work with her again.
Oh, that's cute.
And she's phenomenal. Excuse me. She's really great. She's just very talented. And then like some people were more new friends, like Simon Wish, who's a fairly famous trans poet who runs Glower Press with another trans poet. They like have a little vignette role, and Prairie M. Fowl, who's also a really wonderful poet, has a voice role. So it was kind of like asking people to do things, and then I got a small amount of money from Artlist Media to give everybody a very, very, very small amount of money for doing it, which was great to even be able to do that. And then, so I got that from them, sort of being like, oh, like, this is what I'm hoping to do. I'm not sure what to do. And then they were wonderful about that. And there's somebody who I'm actually working with again on a new project now, so that's really exciting. So I think part of the process is working with people who you already have relationships with, and that's something that I usually do in my practice. It's either people who I'm friends with or people who I have an internet relationship with, or both, and sort of trying to collaborate in some sort of way. And I think, like, there's a script, but it's also definitely something where you allow for movement and change when people have an idea, or when an accident happens, or when something doesn't look like a certain way when you show up to a place.
Yeah.
In terms of equipment, I use my phone. I'm a big proponent of, when you want to make something, you should just go make it with whatever you have.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it looks okay. I think it looks decent for, like, having been filmed on a phone. And I mean, there was, like, a tripod, so I think that helped in some ways. And sometimes it would be me shooting things, like setting up the camera and then, like, going into the shot, and sometimes it would be another actor on the set. But yeah, there was no crew. It was just me and whoever was in the episode. And then they're all, like a minute or two max. So it was interesting. It was a lot of walking around in different places in the woods, and it was kind of shot in a few different places in my college town, which was Bloomington, and then also in Indianapolis, which is where I was at the time for like a month or two before I moved to New York. And then there's one shot of me on a beach, and that's in Florida. And then there's one shot of me with a rope around my neck, and that is with as a dog. And then that's in New York. So some of it was sort of like I'm interested in ideas of collage and how do you collage images together to make something new, especially when you think something's done. Maybe some other image can make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I edited it in Premiere, and then I made the title cards with markers and nail polish and things like that on watercolor paper.
Awesome. Wow, I didn't realize that there were so many locations in the shooting. I think that's really cool, especially it's all over the United States. Very cool. All right, well, this has been lovely.
This is so great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I also love your work. I love following you and seeing your
posts.
I love
following you. I love all the amazing work that you're doing and organizing and wonderful stuff.
Thank you. All right, well, I'll let you go. Live your life.
You too. Have a good afternoon.
Yeah, you too. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.